Hello all, myself Dr. Shanti Verma. In today's tutorial, I am going to discuss manipulating data frames using Pandas in Python programming. Let's first discuss the learning objectives of this session. At the end of this session, you are able to understand data frame. You are also able to extract, filter and transform data from data frames. You also able to perform advanced indexing with multiple levels in the data frames. Let's first discuss what is Pandas data frame. First, what is Panda? Panda is a one library of Python that is used to create data frame and manipulate data frame. Pandas data frame is a two-dimensional, size mutable, potentially heterogeneous tabular data structure with labeled axes, that is rows and columns. Basically, a data frame is a two-dimensional data structure and data is aligned in a tabular fashion in row and columns. And data frame consists of the three principal components, that is the data, rows and columns. In this figure, you can see that components of the data frames. Basically, in the figure, columns are name, team, member, position and age, means the attributes are called as columns, while the number of records are records stored in a rows and the data that is stored in rows is called as data. Now let's discuss what is a simple data frame. For creating any data frame, you have to first import a Pandas library. To import Panda library, you can write import Pandas as PD, where this PD is a alias name of Pandas library. Here I take a one CSV file example. So for creating a data frame, to create a data frame from CSV file, you have to first read the CSV file. To read the CSV file, there is a one function read underscore CSV. You have to pass the name of the file and the column you want to make as a primary column. For this example, I take month as a primary column. For printing the data frame, you have to write df in a prompt. You can see that this whole data of sales.csv file displayed as a data frame. Now let's discuss how we do indexing using a square braces. Basically, when I print this data frame and I want to print only the value that associated with a column salt and row gen, then I have to use a square braces. So I can write df in square braces the attribute name, that is a salt, and the row name, that is a gen. You can see that this 12.0 is printed, that is the value associated with the column salt and row January. Now let's discuss how to use column attribute and row label. If you in this example, I want to print the values that associated with the column ag and the row march. So in the previous slide, you can see that I passed both attribute and the row name in the square braces, but you can pass in the different manner, like a column attribute and row label. You can write this df dot eggs, and in square braces you can write march. You can see that this 221 is displayed as a output. For fetching the value from data frame, we can also use a .loc accessor. .loc accessor take attribute names and give the corresponding value of row and column. For that, you have to write this df.loc, and in the single square braces you can write the name of the row and column. You can see here I pass the row is May and the column is spam, and the associated value with the row May and column spam is 52 is displayed as output using .loc accessor. There is a one more accessor, that is .iloc accessor. In LOC accessor we have to pass the attribute names, while in ILOC accessor we have to pass the index positions. For that, if I want to print the May and the spam associated value, then I have to pass the indexes. So I can write df.iloc, then the row is a 4 and the column is a 2. So row 4 means the month May and column 2 means span column, and the value associated is a 52, that is displayed as a output. Now let's discuss how to select only some columns from a data frame. For that you have to first create a new frame. So for creating a new frame, a new data frame from a existing data frame, you have to write this df underscore new equals to df, and then in the list form you have to pass the columns you want to select. So I select only the salt and the egg columns from a previous data frame. If I write df underscore new, it only gives output as columns egg and salt with all the month associated values. Now let's discuss how slicing and indexing a series. For slicing, you have to slicing means you have to print some part of a column. In this example, you can see that if I print the data frame having the column egg and only the values the 1 to 4 means February, March and April values as a row, then we can write dfx means the column name and the month values Feb to April. You can see here that only Feb, March and April value is displayed that are associated with the egg columns. Now if you only print a value associated with May, then you can write this 4, that gives only the value associated with the column egg and month May. So there are the various way to extract the value from the data frame. Now let's discuss how to extract the value using LOC. Basically, if you want to display all rows and some columns, then for all rows you have to write this colon sign. This colon sign is basically for all rows, and some column means column of eggs to salt. Okay, so basically in this if I write df dot loc and colon means all rows and some columns, then we have to give the column names. Here you can see that only eggs and salt column is displayed with all rows. In the second example, you can see that for df.loc I pass Jan to April. It and comma colon. It means only some rows and all columns. So it displays Jan to April rows, and in columns all columns means egg, salt and spam. All 3 columns is displayed, but rows are only Jan, Feb, March and April. Similarly, for using the LOC, we can extract these values using slicing also and in listing also. If I using a LOC, then you can see if I want to extract the value from Jan to May as a row, and in columns I want to display only X and span, then I can also pass these columns in the form of the list. You can see that in output Jan to May all the values are displayed in a row and only X and span column is displayed. In ILOC, already know that ILOC uses the indexes, expect the attribute name. So if I pass in ILOC in row 0, 4 and 5 means 0 means Jan, 4 means May and 5 means June, and in a column I pass 0 to 2. It means it takes a 0 means X and 2 means salt column and display the values. So we can use LOC as well as ILOC also. Now let's take what is the difference between series and data frame. Basically, both series and data frames can be used for manipulating the data frames, manipulating the data of the Excel files. If you can write the data frame in a way that you can pass this attribute in a list, single list, then this you can see here that this is a python dot series, code dot series, and you for printing you can use the type command. But if you write this egg attribute or column name in a form of list, it creates a data frame. You can see if I write type data df and this x, it gives it's a data frame. So these are the two different types from extracting data from the Excel file or the CSV file. In this lecture, we discuss what is a Python Pandas data frame and what are the different ways to manipulate and extract data from the data frames. For more learning, you can refer these references. Thank you.